everybody, welcome back to JSMFX for another week and episode of FOREX FORECAST reviews and also analysis of the day of 3rd to 7th, and also the forecasts for the week of 10th to 14th November 2025. So let's begin over with the news. For me, coming on Monday next week, that is from 11th Tuesday, I see there are a lot of high impact news, but I want to be concentrating on this one because some of them I don't really trade on, and also I don't really look at. So this for me is not really that important. So skipping off to Wednesday, ECB Gundo's speech, that will be a bit important for me. So I'll be very watchful for that and see what it will give me. Thursday, now this is where the rubber meets the road, because I see a lot of USD news coming in, like the continuing jobless claims, and also what's most important is the CPI right down here. So I think this will give me a little bit of time to check out closely on the market and see how I will tackle it. Moving on to Friday, I see also not really much interested in the Asian news. The Euro news somehow will give me a little bit of attention to see what will happen on the charts. But however, USD, there is where I'll be looking at so much to focus on, especially on the PPI. So this is what I'll be looking at mostly. But I tend to believe that all these news will happen at the same time. So, rounding them all up at once means that it will give me the notion of just looking at the charts very closely during this time, from the retail sales together with the PPI, all the way till the New York close for next week. So that's just that for the news and what we'll be expecting coming in next week. Myself, I've not been around. Just got back, so I'm just trying to catch up with the market to see also what trades I've been taking and how everything has played out. So I'll also explain a bit about my what do you call it? My move away from for the 1 week, and I want to also explain on how maybe I was in some trades but they didn't work out because I wasn't online. So that's another lesson to look at. So let's now dive into the charts and see what we have in store. Okay, so starting off today with Germany 40, that is the DAX. We are going to begin with that and see how things are. So for me, I want to explain so much that has happened down here. So let's just jump on to the recent area, which is here, so that we can understand what is actually going on. Okay, so I'm looking at this move to the upside. Okay, then this next candle was a pullback for me because it didn't close above this previous candle. So all the way to the upside to here, we see this next candle, which actually was a liquidity kind of grab, okay, with a long wick to there, which was actually reacting to this demand that we just talked of a few seconds ago. So from this is where we're seeing a move to the upside, okay, because all these candles broke the previous candles high like that, and then we see another pullback right there to this doji, which actually pushes the price to the upside to just take out this last high. Okay, so it has not closed above, so I'm not going to take that as any kind of structure. But what I know is that after the liquidity grab right here, we see a very massive push to the downside, okay, which maybe could be the reason why they want to get back to some little deep pullbacks. Okay, why? Because we still have this. For me, I still see this as one demand that has not been mitigated. So it could be the reason maybe price wants to pull back deeply to this demand before maybe continue to the upside. Alternatively, also we also concentrating on this candle right here, this doji, where price is they could be using that as the demand, okay, where they will possibly react from and then continue to the upside. So anything can happen, but for me, I just want to see how this demand will hold, okay? But if it doesn't hold and kind of breaches like that, that is breaking its low, then I'll be expecting a pullback and look for any supply areas here, which could be evidence for me, or a confluence to check the sells to the downside, maybe deeper inside this huge demand that was left untouched, I think, on Tuesday, 1st April of this year. Okay, so maybe that's just one of the pullbacks to that demand before maybe continuing to the upside, or just continue, sorry, change direction to the downside. So anything can happen, but let us look at the lower time frames and see of the possibilities that I might have left off, or maybe areas that I will need to look at. Coming on the weekly, we see also same thing. And by the way, you need to understand one thing I've come to understand is we're approaching the last months of the year, so meaning that price won't be that impactful because we have a lot going on, from the US government shutdown and all the trade wars and what have you. People are actually taking a break from the market. So for me, I'd say that next year, maybe come January or February, that's when we'll see many people react, coming back to the market and um, making significant or imperative moves, okay, strong moves, sorry. So for the weekly, for me, I see ever since April, price pushed up, okay, we had a pullback, and then right here it was ranging, because now it wasn't breaking above this high and this low. So right now price is in the middle, and as you can see from this green vertical lines, these are all months, okay. So you can see how the middle of the year, how things have been, up and down, but now coming into the last month of the year, especially the 3 months, let's say, yeah, July, this August, September, and October. Right now we are in November, so we are seeing a little bit of a break before maybe it makes the significant move that it wants, the actual move that it wants from there. But for now, we are just ranging. So I see this inside bar for me as demand where price has come back to. So unless this demand is breached like that, then I'll be looking for um, supply areas where now it will give me that proof to continue to the downside and maybe sell to that demand. Remember the monthly demand that we talked of, this also in the weekly has another demand inside that will give us more opportunities to see if price will go that deeper. Also, for me, I still also see this demand looking to hold, because we still have another long week here that has just formed. So maybe it wants to hold and maybe react from and then continue to the upside. So anything can still happen in the market. For me right now, I'm only going to say that I will be playing between this demand and this supply. Okay, so any one of them that will be breached, that will give me a signal of um, taking the step to decide on which direction I'm gonna follow through. Okay, so coming into the daily, also same thing. Now for the daily, things are at least opening up. Okay, things are at least opening up now from where we saw that high right here. We see price has been ranging, especially on the weekly, but from this low we see we had a change of character here, which pushed price up, and then a little bit of a pullback, which actually was reacting from this supply. I've not drawn on it, but I hope you understand. So as you can see from this pullback, we see price pushing up, taking out this high, okay, taking out the last highs, okay, of July. So meaning that from that point, we didn't close above also. So same to monthly and weekly, we've seen also the daily reacting very well to that zone, which actually now push price to the downside. That was the reason price was pushed to the downside, causing this change of character. And then all this pullback, especially with this inside bar, was just a pullback to this whole buy to sell range. As you can see, the green one, this huge green supply, leave alone this one, but this one here. Okay, so this is the one that pushed price to the downside. So again, I see another change of character here, which has cannot close above, and then we had a little bit of pullback to that demand after the change of character. But again, I see that price pushed to the upside, wanting to close above, but that wasn't the case. For this high that took out this last high, it was the reason that actually pushed price lower to that point. So meaning we are forming a downtrend kind of move, okay, or rather downtrend kind of order flow. So it is in this blue weekly demand that we see price came in, and it has come in deeper inside this week. Okay, this week of this demand week. Okay, so because of this doji that now has closed in an indecisive way, means that this is a pullback for me to this inside bar. Okay, and for me, I'll be expecting at least this inside bar to continue pushing price to the lower side. So if it doesn't do that, like this, if it doesn't do that, then a breach of this to the above side then means that we'll have a change of character, bullish one. Then I'll be looking for any areas of demand here, which now will prove to me that we are continuing to the upside, because it had not broken this daily, week demand, and also this weekly, the whole weekly demand that we just saw the previous minutes. So that is just the focus that I have on the daily. Let's now move to the 4 hour and see what we have in store. So for the 4 hour, I'm not going to look at all this previous structure. So let's just continue with what we are seeing and what is recent. So I'll only start off from here. We have this breach to the downside from the break of this low, meaning that price now is changing direction to the downside. But again, this also pushed price to the upside. But before that, we saw the change of character here. Price came up to this supply, came down again to mitigate that demand, and then move to the upside, as you can see. So after that move all the way up, we see price breaching this low, this demand, meaning that they had a change of character right there. So this pullback would be an initial pullback that I would have expected for it to come back and touch any areas of supply here. But as you can see, for those who trade fair value gaps, this was their time to look for the trade, and yeah, you see how the trade played out very well. Again, here we see another pullback right here. I hope you will get to see that, where we had a breach of that low, okay, where price actually took it out and caused a change of character. And there is where we had the return back to that supply after the change of character, and then price pushed lower. And as it was pushing lower and wanting to continue low, it didn't actually want to breach this demand right here. Okay, so it only took out these lows and then reacted from it, meaning that the reaction was just a liquidity build up for me with all this double bottom. So we have the move to the upside like that, where price range around here, and inside, I think, taking out the highs of this last high, or rather this supply, price pushed down and came down to this demand. Okay, somehow a demand was about here with this doji. I hope you can see that. And then price pushed up again, okay, continuing to the upside. Now you see how they already built this. Actually it was a triple bottom, because you have this low, and this low. Okay, so meaning after they build up that liquidity, we have a very significant time and moment to actually come and take them out later. That is for the sell side. Okay, so after the move to the upside, we took again at this high and also these highs, and then caused a minor change of character because there was no candle close below. So after price range like that came down, and then caused the actual change of character right there, and then we had a return to the supply, which now pushed price to the downside. So this was a trade that I would have anticipated to at least come to this supply, but that wasn't the case. So yes, it was in profit, then later on came and took me out. So again, I see that I noticed that we had this return okay, to that supply. That is after the break of that low, of this low and this low, just taking out liquidity. We see again that price push lower, okay, not really low to break out this demand, remember this demand, but only to build more liquidity. Now for liquidity purposes, you can see now how it built over here and also over here with this rest of the resting liquidity on the sell side. Okay, so now they have this liquidity takeout, they have this liquidity takeout. Okay, so when they coming back up here, people would say that it was reacting from that demand, so many buyers stepped in right here, but as you can see, it was only mitigating this supply, taking out these highs, and then continue to the downside to take out all these lows. Again, a little bit of a pullback, but also that came and took them out now officially of all these bottoms that we saw previously. So from there we see a change of character happening, and then we see a mitigation to the supply. But this change of character, for me personally, I would have expected for at least price to come down to this inside bar, reacting from it and then continue to the upside, but that wasn't the case. Alternatively, also I was waiting for price to come to this supply and maybe look for sales, but that wasn't the case. So price chose to just continue to the downside. So what am I seeing right now? What I'll be expecting is for this pullback right here and then we see price taking out these highs, and then we see that low being formed. So for me now, this will be my area of change of character, which I'll be expecting to come to. And if it does breach it, then I'll be very cautious to check out on how price will actually react when it comes down here. But for me, I see this what do you call it, supply price reacting from it and maybe continue to the lower side. Okay, so maybe it wants to continue, it wants to change direction to the downside like we've seen in the weekly and monthly, and I'll be very, very much interested wanting to see how things will play out from maybe this supply or somewhere around here if price reaches to that point. Okay, so I think that will be all for Germany 40 or the DAX. From the 15-minute, I don't want to explain much because it was all so noisy and nothing was actually building up for me and giving me that you know vibe of getting to see the trades clearly. So just to explain something here that would have been a good trade for me, I would have looked at this area, okay, where price went up and then range a little bit around there, okay, and then came down to break this eyeballs. So the return to this supply would be evident for me that price would have gone down. So that would be a very good area, especially based on the 4-hour structure. This would have been a very good area to look for the sales and then play it out maybe to this demand, which as you can see, it played out very well, coming down to even breach and break the last low. Okay, so meaning now they're in a downtrend. So coming in next week, for me, I see this pullback right here and this wick taking out that low has caused a change of character by pushing price up and breaking out this high. So after the return right here, we see price aggressively goes back to pull to create a pullback to some areas of um, premium side before maybe continue to the downside. So this is one of the supplies that I'll be very watchful of coming in next week, because as you can see, price reacted to this supply. So maybe this will be the next supply that price wants to react from before continue to the downside, but not also forgetting that I still have this 4-hour in brown for our supply that I'll be expecting also price to come and react from and then continue to the downside, because now every most time frame, especially the 4 and the 15 minutes, are all aligned and telling us that they just want to continue to the downside. So let me just mark my low right here. And then leave it coming in next week to see how things will play out. So I think that will be all for the DAX or Germany 40. Let's now jump on the USD CHF. Okay, so USDCHF, what do we see? For me, starting off from the monthly, we've just been ranging. Okay, we've just been ranging around there. Okay, but we've now started looking for looking at some downward trend. Okay, with this low being breached or rather broken to the downside, and then price coming in deeper to this week. Okay, I mean this deeper to that week of the demand, and then yeah, from there now we'll have to see or be very watchful to see what will actually happen. So for me, I see this low pulling back with this inside bar, and then inside bar push price lower, and then we had another pullback and then another price lower, taking out this low. So right now I see this, okay, pullback to this supply, maybe wanting to react from it and continue lower. But if it does breach it to the upside, then that will only mean for me that we will break this change of character, okay, or rather this high, causing the change of character deeply inside this doji or the inside bar of the supply. And then now I'll be looking for any supply area, sorry, demand areas around here, and then um, looking to see if we can continue to the upside. Because why? I noticed that this long week, okay, this long week had just showed me the evidence that price could be wanting to pull back. But overall, I still focusing. Also, I'll still also be watchful when price comes inside this supply to see if maybe will be the reason to take out the lows or also continue to the downside. Okay, so that's just the weekly. Let us now look at, sorry, the monthly. Let's look at the weekly. Now, weekly also not that much of a drama, but just like the DAX, we are also seeing some very few areas of, we are also seeing a very huge range on few areas of the price action. So I have this that we saw in the monthly, where it was the dodgy pullback and then price pushed to the downside. Coming back to pullback from there, it came to the supply and then price pushed down again to come and take out this low, but it only took it out to the week. So as you can see, that could also give us a reason that we could be reversing. But before we assume that, we see another pullback here which pushed price to this supply, okay, and then price came down like that. And then we have another move to the upside, which pulls back with this, inside bar, and then price went to the upside. So aggressively, when price pushed up, we see the break of that high, but not with the candle close above. So for me, I'll be watchful of this demand, okay, for this demand, to see if price will come to there and maybe continue to the upside. Also, this supply could be holding also, as you can see, it could be the one holding and maybe pushing price to the lower side. So for my forecast from the weekly, I feel we could be continuing to the downside, but I'll be very watchful to see how price will react from this. Just a second. Will be reacting from this demand like that, okay, like that. So that's where I'll be very watchful of my price to see how things will play out. Okay, so let me just reduce this one to here and then let it wait for price to come there and then see how things will be from here, and anticipate on the next move. Okay, uh the daily things actually gave us a kind of a good structure from there, and I won't want to talk about much about the previous areas from my left. So let's just start off from here. We saw the price reacting from that demand, came into that supply and then pushed price to the upwards to also create that bullish change of character right here. So after that, we see price ranging around here and then started pushing down like that. Okay, so meaning after it came and broke the daily low right there, we see another pullback. Okay, so you see how now price is actually shaping that momentum of the downward trends. So this pullback right here on the daily, we see price pushing up to that supply and also taking out those highs, which again we see price coming back down to this demand after the change of character. It left out all this liquidity to come and take them out later, which actually reacted from that demand, and then now we push price to the upside. So this now was the current demand that price reacted from, and then push price to the upside to come up again to take out all this buy side liquidity. I think it's buy side liquidity, which now right now is looking to giving us the idea of a downtrend to actually pull back to maybe this demand, okay, that we actually saw also on the weekly. That is the that has also another demand, a very huge demand. So maybe I'll be expecting price to react from there and then continue to the upside. So anything can happen, and I'll be waiting to see how price will play out. So for now, this for me is a pullback, either to that demand or maybe continue with the trend, okay. But because this high has not been taken out, then for me, I'm regarding that as my strong high, okay. So I'll be expecting price to actually break it before looking for areas of buying, or rather continue with the uptrend. For me right now, this area with these three candles will be the areas I'll be looking at from the lower time frames to see if I can get ideas of supplies where I'll be selling them from, maybe to this demand before they get here first. So let's look at the 4 hour and see what we have in store. So for this, the high that we just saw on the daily, and as you can see, the daily demand also has pested itself. But before we look into there, let us first start off from this bottom of this low. So after the low, the last low being broken, we see now we have an idea of the downtrend continuing. Okay, but before that, we saw the pullback happening very well, or rather very gradually. We see that we had a change of character right here, and then price came down to only react to this demand and then push up. This was one of the trades that I missed. Sorry, took a loss from, because I was expecting at least price to come down deeper to this week before continuing to the upside, but that wasn't the case. So after that, we see price coming down, okay, from there, and price coming in up here. Before they did this pullback, it was just to take out this high. Okay, so after that, we see price coming down to this demand and then pushed price again lower to that whole sell to buy range, the brown one, as you can see, which actually gave us a change of character from there. And then as you can see, price went up, came down again. I think there's where we place a buy stop order, and then let price play out on its own. So as you can see also, as price was ranging around here, we see that this trend line being built, okay, to the upside was actually liquidity, because we see it by the benefit of hindsight that it was taken out around this area. And also they were building liquidity, as you can see from this buy side area, which actually that was the actual target which they were coming for. So as you can see now, price pulled back there and then went to the upside, because they were actually targeting to mitigate this supply, and also build or take out this high, and also build the buy side liquidity areas. So after that point, we see price pushing down aggressively to cause this change of character, and then price came again to this supply after the change of character to mitigate it. And this was a very good trade, by the way. We took this one together with my members, and as you can see, it played out very well to the downside, coming down to create a little bit of a pullback here, and then push price lower to actually mitigate this whole range demand that was left previously. So after that, we had a change of character, but that wasn't the case, because price was aggressively going down. So it came down to mitigate this demand deeper inside that week. And as you can see also, I've already drawn my double bottom, which I'll be expecting price to come and take them out later. So after that, we see price coming down, and then having that move to the upside, okay, and then ranging around here. I would have explained things that are happening here, but that's not for the ones that are that's not for you, the viewers. because there's a lot that happened here. And for me also, I didn't pay much attention on that structure or area, because it didn't give me much confidence to see that maybe it continue to the downside. But soon enough, when we had this change of character, we see price pushing lower, okay, like that, and then came up to that supply, okay, and then moved to the downside. So this was a trade also we took, but as you can see, it played around and then continued to the upside. So that was a double loss. So I guess next time I just have to be watchful. So again, after the pullback to that demand, not really a demand, but that kind of demand on the lower time frames, we see price pushing up, okay, and then continue to the upside like that. So right here now is where we see price mitigating this supply. I've not actually drawn on it, but after that mitigation, I noticed that we have had somewhat a reaction here, but price pushed lower, okay, to cause this change of character. So I'm going to draw that just in a second, but we've had a change of character here. Price push back again to come and mitigate mitigate this fair value gap, push price up. I would have expected actually for it to come deeper here, or maybe to the supply, but as you can see, price moved in aggressively to those areas. So for me, this pullback right now that is just started with the close with the bullish candle for the week, for me, I'll be anticipating at least for it to come to that supply, or maybe to take out those highs, okay, and then continue to the downside, because we still have several demand areas that need to be mitigated, say this one and also this one. So maybe that will be my idea of wanting to see how much price would want to continue to the lower side. So let me just draw on my areas of reaction, so that coming in next week, I'll be very aware to know where I left off. So I'll take this change of character line, put it here, okay, right there, and then I will take this one of these supply areas for my 4 hour, where I'll be checking to see if it got mitigated. Well, for this week that you see here, yes, it could have mitigated it, but for me, I'll be waiting to see how much all these weeks, this one, and also this one, for me, they are just liquidity points, okay. So for me, this supply area will be the one that I'll be looking to play my positions from, and then continue to the downside like that, continue to the downside to here, before it actually touches here, or even touches this demand down here. We actually label it right there. So if it does touch there first before it goes to that supply, then I'll not be interested in looking for sales. But if it does come here first, then I'll be looking to see if I can get any buy opportunities. But for now, I see the momentum of the downtrend is really strong. So maybe that will be one of the reasons that sales will be highly probable than the buys. So let me just return this one here and then leave it off at that. So I won't want to talk much about USD CHF at this point. That is just the analysis, reviews, and forecasts that I'll be looking at coming in next week. I wasn't around, so let's talk about that on the next pair, that is the Euro USD, as we look to also close up for the week. So Euro USD, last but not least, starting off from the monthly. This low got broken. As you can see, we had a little bit of pullback, but also wanted to just continue lower, so that broke there. And then later on, we see this high being taken out, which means that now we are changing direction, possibly. After the change of character, we see some couple of pullbacks and also a very huge range, okay, like that, and then price push to the upside. So what I'm seeing right now is price coming up and then making this pullback and then going up and then coming back to that demand to react from it, which it actually did, took out the highs of here, and then moved on to the lower side. So two things: either it reacts from this demand to continue up, or maybe just wants to pull back a little bit to this demand before maybe possibly continue to the upside. So that's just one of the areas that I'll be looking at coming in next week. And also, let's not forget the way we've been looking at those other pairs that you know many pairs are actually in a range from the higher time frames, meaning that people are closing down from there for the year. Excuse me, for the year. So for the weekly, nothing much to see because I don't like drawing structures in every zones or areas, especially on the higher time frames. But in the lower time frames, I'm very much active. So for here, we see price mitigating this whole range. Okay, the uh, sell to buy range, and then price pushed upwards. But before that, we see a couple of pullback like this one, and then push price to the upside, and then came down to cause a change of character, and then pulled back to react from that supply, and then continue to the downside. So what I'm seeing right now is price is actually price has actually pulled down to break that low, and then this move to the upside, it was a mitigation to only this supply area, which maybe could be the one that we'll be looking to play out from, and then continue to the downside to actually come and mitigate this demand. So that's just one of the conferences or forecasts that I'll be looking at, or from the weekly of Euro USD. So the daily, what will we be looking at? Now, the daily also, I won't want to explain much about this whole structure from the beginning of the year. So let's just continue, or rather start off from what we have recently. Um, Obviously, we are playing between this low and this high. Prices caused a change of character right there and then pushed up. This was actually a very good trade, and I've been always talking about it from my previous videos. So if you have not watched it, please go and do so, because as you can see, after the change of character, we see price pushing back up to that supply and then push price lower. So anyone who was holding from here, then they would be counting their profits, or maybe taking the heavy passions right now. And actually, as you can see, for those patient traders that actually get paid for real, you can see how they were patient enough to wait for price to actually come lower, because they were anticipating a move to the downside to come and mitigate this demand. So you can see how swing trading also is very much possible, and can actually give you more returns if you're patient enough, and your risk is also reasonable. So we see a bit of a range here, which actually built more liquidity, just like we saw, I think, on DAX. So we have this one bottom, second and third bottom, which the third bottom push price up to induce more buyers. Okay, so only for them to actually make us forget that it is from this supply that they want to react from. And then when price was coming back, guys thought, okay, now you know what, this triple bottom now is proving to be strong and wanting to push price up. So as you can see, price, yes, reacted from this demand and then pushed price up, but they were actually building more liquidity, not just the triple bottom, but also right here and all the way up here. Okay, so that's when now we see price again coming down to actually now officially take them out. Okay, and yeah, coming down to not actually mitigate this demand, but I would have expected it to happen. So what is happening right now is price is pushing back, because for this downward move, or down, rather short the order flow to the downside, we see, for me, the internal structure be playing between this high and this low. So for this move to the upside, it is just a pullback. Okay, so this pullback could be reacting from this, could come to react from these wicks and then continue to the downside, because I am still expecting this demand to actually be mitigated, and then now look for the actual confluences that I normally look at. So for me, this exchanging wicks is one of them that I'll be looking to see how price will react from, and then maybe coming back up. If it does choose to breach it, then I'll be waiting for price to at least come up to this week and see how things may turn out from there, and then continue with the sales to that demand. But overall, we still see that also the daily wants to continue with the move to the upside. So anything can happen, but let us wait and see. From the 4 hour now, we things are a bit getting clearer, and we might also continue to the upside according to the 4 hour structure. So starting off from structure, we can see that we are playing between this low and that high. Price has actually pulled back. Okay, excuse me, I won't want to explain much about this triple bottom that was there on the daily, but as you can see, price came up to that somewhat the supply areas and then continue to the downside. But before that happened, we see that change of character, and then price pushed back to that supply before continuing to the downside. Another change of character here, like that, and then price pushed back to that supply and then pushed down, okay, to continue to the downside. So I wasn't around, by the way. I actually went to Tanzania, and coincidentally the election process, or rather all the violence, started off while I was there. So there was a trade, I think, on USD CHF. I did explain that, but yes, when they cut off the internet, the trade was actually live, and yeah, I actually went at a loss because I wasn't accessing um, any of the servers. So as much as that was a loss, I still kept my head up and said if I come back home, then I'll be continuing to look to continue with my business, because from there everything now will be playing out very well. So for this case, as you can see, price pushed down, okay, and then push up back up to mitigate the supply, and then come down lower to actually mitigate this demand that was left fresh. And then this slight range and a pullback was actually another inducement to actually build more sell side liquidity, and then came and took them out. So up until this point, we see a little bit of pullback and taking out of the, what do you call them, the lows, which actually then later on we see that price came up and breached that high, okay, and then caused that change of character. So we see the move to the upside like that up to there, and then we see a slight pullback, okay, with this inside bar, and then price pushed up. So coming back home, I realized that I got into the charts, okay, into my office, about this area, okay, where they already formed this demand. So that's where price actually reacted from, and when it came down deeper, this is what I like, by the way. When price comes down deeper inside this demand, especially for this example, I normally place my pending orders like right there, and then I let those pending orders play out. So as you can see, this is a 3R that I'm still expecting for at least price to come and mitigate this area of supply. But if that's not the case, then I'll still leave the trade to come and maybe take me out, but I've moved my stop loss to here, okay, because I still believe that price will still hit my TP possibly coming in next week. So for me, just like the USD CHF that you're expecting the pullback to the downside, for Euro USD, I'm also expecting the pullback to continue to the upside. Okay, so as much as this is a temporary pullback, I'll be expecting it to react from this demand, okay, before maybe continue to the upside, or maybe breach all those highs to come and mitigate this this supply that was left after the change of character. So maybe something like that before maybe continue to the downside, because as you can see also for the internal structure, I am playing between this high right now and this low. Okay, so anything can happen, so let us just wait and see how actually things will play out. So I don't want to talk much about 15 minutes, but for the sake of that trade, let us look at maybe how late I got into my trade, because things were actually shaping up from the 15-minute. I just ignored it because I didn't want sudden surprises where you place in a buy from say here, but price was actually intending to pull back and continue to the downside. But judging from the structure, we can see that price has actually uh, um, given us the notion that it still wants to continue to the upside. So we see a change of character right here, okay, and then price pushed back after this whole range. See price pushed back to this supply and then continue to the downside like that. So after that downward move, we see that we had a move to the downside. Actually, it came down again to this demand, okay, this last demand, and then from there we see a change of character happening there, and then price push down to come and mitigate this week and also this whole sell to buy range, which actually now got the strength to actually continue with the upward moves and also take out all these buy sell liquidity for those people that were still anticipating for the sales to continue, especially around here, for those that placed their stop loss around there. So yes, this was my late entry for me, and as you can see, price did actually push really high, very well. So if I had placed my entry around here, then my 3R would have been hit around there. But from where I see price is, if I was taking a 2R, say there was a 2R, I think this would have been a very good trade if I'm not wrong. Yeah, it had not reached my 2R, but still I'll be expecting price to at least come up and then hitting my 3R as anticipated. So I think that that will be all that I'll be expecting for now. I can only say that I'll be watchful of this demand right here, okay, where price is right now, wanting to see how it will react from it, which actually I'll be hoping for to at least continue to the upside and then hit my TP. So all my accounts are still live and I'll be holding on to that trade and see how it will play out. I don't have much to say from this pair, but only that the only thing that I'll say is just try and make peace with your losses. When you are in your trade already, make sure that you have made peace with your losses, to only tell yourself that as much as the internet might go down or anything might be an inconvenience to you, you would have actually made peace with your losses, and don't give much fuss about it, because it's still a game of probabilities. Even if you're online, the trade would play out in any way, to tell you if they would if you would get the profit or not. So there is where we've had our change of character. Because it reacted from there, I would look at this supply to see how price will come up to there or maybe continue to the upside to breach it. So I think that that will be all for me from this pair and also for the whole of this episode. Please be sure to subscribe and also show some support, also on Telegram and TikTok, likewise also here on YouTube. So I don't have much. I'm JSMFX. I just want to wish you a very good weekend and also happy new month. Okay, and also for the festivities, Merry Christmas to most of my viewers. Thank you so much for your support, and also happy new year coming in next week. So let's just meet next weekend to also discuss widely about my journey, how I've been looking at the whole game of trading, and how it has helped me, excuse me, and how it has helped me and how it has built me, and also check on my metrics and all my statistical data. Okay, so for now, have a nice weekend. For all my new players, I hope we take the win today from Tottenham at their home, and yeah, get to at least climb up the table and see how much progress we will make throughout the season. So I don't have much. You guys have a nice weekend, and see you on the next one. Peace.